Knowledge is power. We always talk about African American on the railroad, but we really don't. They really don't dive deep in the public schools. They do not. I've been in public school. I've been in private school, and I have several degrees, and I've been inspired in indigenous law, people's law, will give me a wealth of history about being here in indigenous territory, which we call America. And a lot of information even veers and grasps you information of other immigrants that came in the United States that is very seldom discussed and talked about. They always talk about the slaves on the railroads. So but let's talk about what actually really happened. I'm not going to go in depth. But a lot of times misinformation is given because there's not enough information in the system or in libraries. There are libraries, but if you're not at a Congress library, or if you're not in a law library, which is a school that studies America or indigenous people, you're going to be limited with information. You may find a couple of books, but you're not going to have the in-depth information in the actual documents and things that's transpired. The question is, yes, primarily Chinese immigrants were instrumental in building the railroads in the United States. During the 19th century, thousands of Chinese laborers were recruited to work on the Central Pacific Railroad, which was constructing the western section of the Transcontinental Railroad. They faced harsh conditions, including dangerous work, low wages, and prejudice. Their labor was crucial to the completion of this monumental engineering feat. While there were also some Irish and other European workers involved in railroad construction, the majority of the labor forces that built western section of the transcontinental railroads was Chinese. See, a lot of time they leave out a lot of information that's important to educate you. You may hear little bits and pieces, but they don't tell you that other people was involved as well, and the injustice of other nationalities. Yes, African Americans played a significant role in building railroads in the United States. While the majority of the railroad workers were European immigrants, including Irish, Chinese, and Italian laborers, African Americans also contributed to this monumental task. They worked on various aspects of the railroad construction, including laying tracks, building bridges, and operating trains. It is important to note that African Americans face discrimination and segregation within the railroad industry, often working in lower paying and more dangerous jobs than their white counterparts. However, the labor was essential to the expansion of the railroad network across the country. Yes, it is true that indigenous people who worked on the railroad often faced lower wages and dangerous, risky working conditions. They were frequently hired for the most physically demanding and hazardous tasks, such as clearing land, blasting rocks, and laying tracks. These jobs often involve exposure to dangerous elements like heavy machinery, explosives, and harsh weather conditions. Additionally, indigenous workers were often paid less than their white counterparts, even for the same labor. This was a common practice during that time, reflecting the systematic discrimination and exploitation of indigenous people. Yes, American Indian and Native American did work on the railroad. Many indigenous people, especially those living near the construction sites of the Transcontinental Railroad, were involved in the labor force. They often worked as laborers, track workers, and even skilled craftsmen. While their conditions were significant, it's important to note that the railroad construction also had profound negative impacts on many Native American communities, leading to the loss of land, disruption of traditional ways of life, and increased conflict with settlers. America was built by a diverse group of people, including indigenous Americans, the original inhabitants of North America. They contributed significantly to the development of agricultural, trade routes, and cultural practice. European settlers, immigrants from various European countries, including England, France, Spain, and Germany, came to America seeking new opportunities and religious freedoms. They founded colonies and established the foundation of American society. Enslaved Africans brought to America foreseeable they endured immense suffering and contributed to the nation economy, particularly in the South. Their labor helped build the nation's infrastructure and industries. Immigrants from other parts of the world, over time, people from Asia, Africa, and other regions immigrated to America, bringing their unique cultures, skills, and perspective. They have played vital roles in various fields, including science, technology, arts, and business. It is important to recognize that the contribution of these groups were often unequal and that the building of America was a complex process involving both corporation and
Transcontinental Railroad's construction disrupted not only the landscape, but also the traditional lifestyle of Native Americans. Bison, crucial for sustenance and cultural practices, faced decimation as hunting grounds were obliterated.